23 seasons. 23 years of chefs sweating over hot stoves in competition kitchens, plating food under impossible time pressure, trying to impress Tom Colicchio without visibly panicking while doing it. And in all of that time, across every single season, the show has never done what it is doing right now in season 23. A married couple, competing against each other for the same $250,000 prize, in the same kitchen, at the same time. And if that was not already enough to make you stop whatever you are doing and turn this show on immediately, they also have a pair of identical twins competing in the same competition. Identical, as in you literally cannot tell them apart in cast photos because they made them face different directions just so the photographer could keep track of which one was which. Top Chef Season 23, also known as Top Chef Carolinas, premiered on Bravo on March 9th. And the two storylines that are going to define this entire season have nothing to do with the food and everything to do with the relationships inside that competition kitchen. Welcome to Spill TV, and today we're breaking down everything you need to know about the most relationship-complicated season of Top Chef in 23 years of television. The couple, the twins, the drama that has not happened yet but absolutely will, and why this specific cast combination changes everything about how this competition is going to play out. Let us start with Jennifer Lee Jackson and Justin Tutla, because their situation is the one that has never existed in this show's history and the one that raises the most interesting questions about what it actually means to compete against someone you love. Jennifer and Justin are life partners. They are also business partners. They co-own and operate a restaurant together, which means they have already spent years making decisions together, building something together, pouring themselves into a shared vision of what their professional lives should look like. Their entire romantic and professional identity is intertwined. And now they are in a competition where only one of them can win, where every great dish one of them makes is a step toward a prize the other one does not get, where the judges who praise Justin are the same judges evaluating Jennifer, where a good day for one of them is, by the mathematical logic of a competition, a harder day for the other. The show has had siblings compete before. The Voltaggio brothers, Michael and Brian, competed against each other in season 6. Michael won. And the Voltaggio brother dynamic produced some of the most compelling television that season because you had two extraordinarily talented chefs who had grown up cooking together, who knew each other's strengths and weaknesses better than anyone, trying to out-cook each other on national television. The brotherly tension, the love and the competition existing in the same space was genuinely riveting. But brothers are not the same as life partners, because when the Voltaggio brothers went back to their respective hotel rooms after a brutal elimination challenge, they went separately. They processed their days apart from each other. They competed against each other and then went home to their own lives. Jennifer and Justin do not have that option. They go back to the same room. They debrief the same day. One of them had a great service, and one of them had a rough one, and they have to exist in the same space with both of those realities at the same time, and then wake up the next morning and do it all over again. Now, here's the question that Top Chef has never had to answer before, and that this season is going to force into the open. How do you compete fully against someone you love without it damaging the relationship you have built together? Do you hold back? Do you give them feedback that makes them better, even if it helps them beat you? Do you root for them when they are winning, even if their winning means you are losing? Jennifer addressed this directly in her cast introduction. She said they have worked together for years and never really gotten into arguments, that they are very much in sync both professionally and personally, and that this experience was going to be interesting. Interesting, which is the most delicate possible word for what is about to happen. Justin said he was not going to take it easy on her. He said Jennifer knows that. She would not want him to. They are both competitors. And that is the thing about this couple that makes them compelling rather than just dramatic. They are not going to play nice for the cameras. They are not going to sandbag their own dishes to protect the other person. They are chefs first, and they are both here to win. Which means at some point in this season, one of them is going to have a great day, and the other one is going to be on the bottom. And that conversation at the end of that episode is going to be one of the most interesting things Top Chef has ever filmed. Now the twins, Brandon and Jonathan Dearden. And this situation is somehow even more chaotic than the couple situation because identical twins bring a dynamic that has also never been in this kitchen before. Brandon and Jonathan grew up in Sterling, Virginia. They found their passion for cooking together, which means they did not just grow up in the same house and happen to both become chefs. They became chefs together. They cooked together. They learned together, which means they know each other's technique in a way that nobody else in that kitchen can possibly understand. Brandon is now the chef and co-owner of Ember and Grano in Hamilton, Montana. Live fire driven, local ingredients, hyper-local and seasonal. He is cooking the land he lives on. Jonathan is the corporate chef for Need Hospitality in Washington, D.C., overseeing 12 restaurants ranging from Mexican to French to Southern with Korean influences. He trained under James Beard award-winning chefs. He cooked alongside Jose Andres with World Central Kitchen. Same starting point, completely different paths. And now, the same competition kitchen. Here is what makes the twin dynamic fascinating from a competition standpoint. They know each other's blind spots. They know when the other one is stressed before the other one knows it themselves. They can read each other in ways no other competitor can, which means they are potentially the most valuable source of information about each other in the entire kitchen. Do they share that information? Do they protect each other? Or do they compete fully, knowing that their lifelong knowledge of each other is actually a weapon they could use? And then there is the practical chaos of identical twins in a high-pressure kitchen environment. The producers literally turned their faces in opposite directions in the official cast photos so the press could identify them. Tom Colicchio is going to have to learn to tell them apart from across a stove. The judges panel, which already has to track 15 different chefs across dozens of different dishes, now has to distinguish between two people who look exactly alike and who both have forearm tattoos and are both bald. The show has already acknowledged this is going to be a problem, and honestly, that problem is going to produce some of the most genuinely funny moments of the season without anyone having to try. Now here is the cast detail that actually surprised me the most when I went through all the bios. Because beyond the couple and the twins, this is a remarkably credentialed group of 15 chefs. Brandon Dearden trained at Alinea, which is one of the most technically demanding kitchens in the entire country. Cezanne, Wolfgang Puck, Charlie Palmer, Danielle Boulud. That resume is genuinely extraordinary. He went from that level of training to a live fire restaurant in Montana serving hyper-local cuisine. That pivot is interesting, and it is going to produce a very specific style of cooking that is going to stand out in this competition. Rhoda Magbatang won immunity in episode 1 with a dish that made Tom Colicchio say he would never forget her name. She is from Kailua Kona, Hawaii, and her cooking drew from a background that the judges clearly did not expect and were immediately blown away by. She is going to be one to watch all season. Anthony Jones was also in the top 5 of episode 1, And Nguyen Ha, a proud Vietnamese American whose cooking blends French technique with her Vietnamese heritage and who was mentored during the premiere Quickfire by NASCAR legend Jimmy Johnson of all people, was also in the top group. Day Anais Joseph was eliminated first. Her Carolina Ruby sweet potato dish suffered from undercooked fish and sweet potatoes. No last chance kitchen for her because the season 23 format change means the first two eliminees go home with no second chance, which is brutal, and which means the tension of that first elimination was higher than any other premiere elimination in recent seasons. Now, let me give you the full, honest take on what makes Top Chef Season 23 different from any season that came before it. Top Chef works because the food is real. This is not a show where people can perform their way through challenges without actual skill. You either cook something that impresses Tom Colicchio and Gail Simmons, or you do not. And Tom Colicchio has been doing this for 23 seasons, and he cannot be charmed or produced into praising something that does not deserve it. His palate and his standards are the North Star of this show, and that authenticity is why it still works after 2 decades. But what Season 23 has added is a layer of interpersonal stakes that the show has never carried before. Jennifer and Justin are not just competing for a prize. They are competing in a context that is going to affect their relationship and their business and their shared life. Brandon and Jonathan are not just competing as chefs. They are competing as brothers who have been each other's closest mirror for their entire lives. The food is always the show, but the relationships are the story. And this season has more relationship stakes than any season this franchise has ever produced. The premiere took place at Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is exactly the kind of only in the Carolinas energy that makes this season's location feel genuinely specific and interesting, rather than just a backdrop. The chefs cooked North Carolina sweet potatoes as their first elimination challenge. The season will also feature Carolina Reapers and barbecue and dehydrated ingredients and all of the specific, regional, culturally rich cooking that the Carolinas have to offer. The guest stars include Fortune Feimster, Southern Charm's Madison LaCroix and Craig Conover, Melissa Benoist, Liza Koshy, Danielle Brooks, and the Try Guys. The guest judges include Emeril Lagasse and Michael Mina. The winner gets $250,000 from Graza Olive Oil, a Food and Wine magazine feature, an appearance at the Food and Wine Classic in Aspen, a dinner at the James Beard House in New York, and a chance to present at the James Beard Awards. That is the biggest prize package this show has ever offered. And Jennifer and Justin are both in that kitchen trying to win it from each other. Comment below right now. Which storyline are you most invested in this season? The couple competing against each other? The identical twins trying to outcook someone who knows their every technique? Or are you just here for the food and Tom Colicchio's face when something is undercooked? Because I feel like this season has something for everyone, and I want to know what brought you here. If this video gave you everything you needed about Top Chef Season 23, a like genuinely helps this channel reach more people. Subscribe if you are new because we are covering every episode of this season right here on Spill TV. Top Chef Carolinas. The kitchen is hot, the relationships are complicated, and Season 23 just changed everything.